Another weekend in the books, and honestly, was this a weekend to forget? We saw Purple Steel taking down about 50% of the tops this past weekend. It is getting kind of crazy out there. This deck is absolutely showing out. I have three deck lists to show you guys today that won their respective events. And, well, I'm going to be honest right now. There's two purple steel decks on here and one blue green. If you don't want to stick around through it, I understand. Tomorrow I will have that video up where we break down the deck core, common cards, most commonly played cards, and an updated list. And I know it's going to be purple steel, but guys, it's taken up 37% of the early format top, so I thought it was a great deck to do. Plus, I had at least 3 people request that I do that style video on that deck, and well, maybe, just maybe, if we break that deck down enough, we'll see the flaws in it and we can start to see a deck popping up to take it out. This deck just, one, absolutely checks aggro decks and puts them in their place. In addition to that, it actually plays really well into a lot of the late game control decks like blue-green and even Blurple. It plays pretty well into this format. So Purple Steel has a lot of great things going for it. And right here we see PS missing Blurple. This was from the Secret Rare Series Winter Cup Day 4, I believe. This was like a 32-person tournament, first place finish, obviously. In the one-drop spot, we're not seeing too much spice across the board for this deck, but there is a little bit in there. We see the Captain Hooks, Diablos, and Royal Guards, kind of the 3 go-tos of choice. There are some others being played, which we'll cover in the tech portion of tomorrow's video, but these three cards are pretty well the standard in this deck at those ratios too. It's nothing too crazy there. The Black Heron, this card is actually kind of cracked for this deck, being an inkable 3/3 challenger on 2, just allowing you to threaten that board state, and you don't need the questing power of questing 2. You don't need to be able to get the lore like you do off of your Calhoun. This card is just an absolute menace. But then we still have Calhoun, and we talked about it in the blue steel deck that the trend of playing less dock has actually been catching on across steel decks this format, and here we see just the 1 copy. It is a bit more common to see 2, maybe even 3 in these decks. However, in this deck list, just the 1. You know what happens really nicely when you only play 1? You only see 1. You cannot see him in multiples. Then we got the Violet Sebring, where it's the 3/1 evasive. We've seen this like with the Sir Hiss in the Emerald deck. We've seen it with Pegasus in Ruby. It's just that vanilla 3/1 evasive 2 inkable 1 questing card, essentially. That's each color seems to get these type of cards as formats go on, and it's Purple's turn to go ahead and get that card. Our first Whisper, the Cheshire Cat. So it's a boost 2, 3/4, inkable 3, quest for 1, and when you boost it, you can move up to 2 damage from one of your characters to a chosen opposing character. It's a nice little ability, kind of replacing the Bell in these decks. Then moving on, your 3 drops, it's pretty standard here too. You got 4 Cobra, 4 Lexington. That's going to be something you're going to see a lot of in this format. Lexington just really helping check the mirror match, the evasives in the format, the genies, all that good stuff, while having the powerful other 3-cost options as your singers for that Strength of the Raging Fire. A lot of the time, if you play your Giant Cobra early in the game, I'm not going this far in depth, except for like spicy cards in the next list, which honestly I didn't even proof the next list either, because I'm not going to repeat all the same stuff we're saying. The Cobra, a lot of the time when you play this card, you don't use the discard ability. A lot of time when you play it on 3, you're playing it for the 3 body that can sing Strength. You're playing it to get the 4/4 challenger down. You're playing it for the threat of it. You're not playing it for that ability. However, I mean, this list is never going to run into that issue, but how many times do you open up 2 dock and you're like, Cobra, pitch dock, get 2 lore, knowing you have another dock in hand for your card draw? Anyway, it works out really nice in that regard. Or if you know you're just going to funnel your hand into a dock play, you might as well go ahead, pitch a card, and get that couple lore. The 2 white roses, just to be able to get that lore right away, close games out, put pressure on your opponents. Then the 4 cost, more or less the draw engine of the deck. You got 4 Dumbo, 4 Genie, and 2 2 Yzma, Conniving Chemist, where you can either quest for 2 or you can exert and draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Not really a bad ability. That's actually pretty great. I'm not going to lie. She's pretty great. Then your 5 cost cards, you got Elsa, that's going to still be the standard, and 4 Hades. Absolutely love this card. 3 Demona. The ratio on these two in purple decks is pretty standard, right? Like the 4 Hades, 3 Demona, possibly even 2 Demona. I've seen 3 Hades in some decks. Completely understand it too. Wink wink. He's a great card. I'm not gonna lie, especially in a deck like this where it's like, well, I want to out your card. Well, I'm just not gonna, I'd rather you draw the cards. If my card doesn't get outed, I win. But when you're playing 6 songs that are singable, you can draw into cards that can out it anyway. So the draw 2 is actually still pretty strong. And then obviously the 4 songs, that's going to be pretty standard in these purple steel lists. So the Violet's probably the only spicy card here. It almost feels like we're going back towards like a green steel Bucky format where we're going to see this deck be overwhelmingly the best deck, and there's not going to be a whole lot of variation with it. And I say that having already recorded tomorrow's video where there's actually a lot of variation with it. So what I mean by that is we're going to start to see the tech cards come out, right? Like especially in tomorrow's video, but the majority of the deck is going to, a lot of them like lose 1 or 2 cards like ratio wise, but it's the same cards, just like playing 3 ofs instead of 4s. And then there's a lot of techie 1 ofs out there is what we're seeing in the format. So we're going to stick with it and just stay with the purple steel in the next one. We see the Diablo and Palace Guard ratios flip-flopped. I prefer Diablo, honestly. I'm not a huge Royal Guard fan or Palace Guard fan to begin with. I'd say I get it, but I'd rather play 4 Diablo and 0 Palace Guard, like if it came down to it, if I was really strapped for space. But I guess this player decided not to, and that doesn't make me right either by any means. We do see just the 1 dock once again. Like I said, hey, can't draw multiples if you only play the 1. You have enough card draw with Demonas, with Hades, with Genies and Dumbos and all these other cards anyway, Diablos. Opting for 4 Calhoun, however. The 1 Skater Mim, I'm a huge fan of this card. I love to see it in here. I'd call it spicy, and it kind of is. Less than half the players are playing her still. I still absolutely love the Skater Mim, being able to give your Dumbo +1 challenger to take out a Genie, and vice versa, your Genie +1 challenger to take out a Dumbo, or your Calhoun being able to trade into 4 strength or 4 willpower characters. Just lots of really strong trades that you can get. Your Demona can take out a Clarabelle all of a sudden. Like lots of really strong trades there. Your Mayor Winddancer can take out a Clarabelle because of it as well. And that's the other spicy card we're seeing here. We see 3 Cheshire Cat instead of the 2. And Pete finding his way in. I understand the Pete, especially because like Spooky Night can blow this deck out, or Spooky Sight. You play a lot of 3 costs, a lot of lower than 3 costs. So I understand Pete 100%. It's not being played very often in these decks, but absolutely I get it because Spooky Sight can just blow this deck out of the water in a vacuum. We see the 4/4s, no Yzmas. We got the Mayor Winddancer, and it's 5/7. That is a very strong body. Then the 4 Elsa, 4 Hades, just the 2 Demonas, and we're seeing no Thunderbolts in this list. So, again, the Winddancer's the spice. The Skater, I really like it a lot, and the Pete absolutely makes a ton of sense being played in this deck, which brings us to the first non-purple steel deck winner of this past weekend, and it was the Spooky Season Dual Case Tournament, and we got the Mad Max Cow, the Mad Cow Disease, Mad Max, what? I don't know, Max Cows, I guess. Baja Blast, whatever you would like to call the deck. You can just be simple and say blue, green, green, blue, GB, Game Boy. I honestly don't really care what we decide to call the deck. Baja Blast, that's what it's been forever, right? So, enough rambling about the name of the deck. In our 1-drop spot, we got the Clarabelles and the Develops. That's what you're going to see pretty commonly. We've actually seen a trend this format of the 3-drop Clarabelle not being played in the deck. I still personally like her a little bit, but I guess with like Blurple seeing less play, right? Because Blurple's the other ramp deck that on curve they play Elsa, they exert your little Clarabelle, and they take her out that way. And I mean, purple decks, you still got strength that could take out the little one on curve. But I think this deck is a little less dependent on hitting that Clarabelle shift line as well compared to how it was last format. So I think that's probably the biggest reason we don't see the 3-drop Clarabelle in there, because the deck's not as dependent on the Clarabelle line. Don't get me wrong, it feels really good when you ramp into Clarabelle. Yeah, you ramp into Clarabelle on 4, sing You're Welcome, bounce a card, draw 5-6 cards, and your opponent's board is left mangled. It feels really, really good. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't want to try and downplay how strong the Clarabelle shift play is. I just think it's less detrimental to miss it than it was last format. And a lot of that being, we're still seeing the Donald Ducks being played for consistency, and then as well as the Cinderella, who she can help you fix your hand, ramp hard, ink harder, and get rid of uninkable cards in your hand. So we saw the math of the deck too. Sometimes Tipo and Sail just not enough, so we play that one jump ahead, one more ramp ahead on your opponent. I still disagree with this. Personally, I understand that it increases your chances of it, but we're talking like 93 point some percent up to 95%. We're talking like less than 1.5%. I understand that higher percent is higher percent. We're not playing a 3-drop Clarabelle in here, so missing ramp is even more detrimental because there's really no turn 3 play essentially. So I do understand it. I just don't personally like that it's an unequal card, does nothing late game. I don't know. I tried it a bunch last format, played it, did not like it at all. I'm not going to question Frank Carson, though. He's probably one of, if not the smartest guy playing the game. And the math, like I said, the math it's there at 95%, but I'm content at 93. I guess personally. Then moving forward, we got our Clarabelle. I could talk about that a little bit longer, but again, it's going to come down to opinions, and someone who's won multiple challenges and stuff, their opinion probably holds a little more weight than mine does. So again, I'm not going to take away or discredit any of that. I'll just say I'm wrong, I guess. Cinderella, this card is just absolutely incredible for this deck, though. Like I said, just fixing hands, getting you to your Phillip, your Clarabelle, other things like that, allowing you to just ramp harder and just hard play your Clarabelle. And it's another card that can sing your welcome, so you don't have to hit that shift again. You can get her a little bit later. You can go like Cinderella on 3 or Donald on 3, then shift Cinderella or Clarabelle on 4. Or if you go Cinderella on 3, by turn 5, you're still getting to your Clarabelle on curve on turn 5. The deck ramps really, really effectively now. John Silver, this card it's personally, I think it should be mandatory in these decks. I've seen some players not playing it. I'm a huge proponent of this card because this card drives me absolutely nuts when I play against this deck, and probably 80% of my losses to this deck are when they get 1 or 2 John Silvers down. The card it's so strong. Max Goof, I love Max Goof in this deck. Being able to replay the Your Welcomes or Mother Knows Best, even the Malicious, Mean, and Scary. I really, really like Max Goof in here. Good stat line, multi-quester, great ability, inkable. He checks all the boxes. 4 Basil, 4 Clarabelle, just the 2 Hades makes sense. You're not necessarily needing him as much because you have the Prince Philip blowout. We have 1 Spooky Sight that we see in there for another blowout. Then as far as the rest of the actions, it's pretty standard across the board with what you're seeing. The 4 Sails, the 4 Visions, the 4 Malicious, the 2 Mother Knows Best, and the 4 Your Welcomes. So overall, very, very solid list. Pretty standard. Nothing really jumping out as too crazy. Some players are opting not to go for Max Goof. I really like Max Goof. I think it's a great call here. Outside of that, there's not too much crazy going on. And you might say, why no Little Prince Philip? And the deck ramps so hard, and outside of just trying to speed up that Prince Philip line, it doesn't really do a whole lot. and you almost tunnel vision too hard into Prince Philip. Like you don't build and mulligan and play your hand right into I'm going to Prince Philip you every single game. That's not necessarily how this deck plays out. So I think taking out the Shift Philip actually helps you play the deck out better, because you can't be tempted to play into that style of strategy. So these are 3 of our winning decks. Shout outs to all these players. Great jobs. What did I just do? Whoops. Sorry about that. Clicking on a different window opened up a capture device. Interesting. Shout out to these players. Great job, guys. And I'm actually going to be gone for a week and a half coming up. I'm going to work really hard to schedule out some videos. So next week, I won't have meta updates. I'll have some other meta relevant videos, just not a meta update, as you will, until I'm hopefully going to do it that following Saturday, because I'll be coming home the one day briefly, and I'm just going to record an update for you guys and schedule it for that Saturday instead of Wednesday. But this week, Wednesday, we will have the full meta update. But if you don't want to watch it, down below is the spreadsheet that you can just follow along, and I update it every single week. Thank you guys for watching. As always, like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Take care.